Brad Caves, guess what time of year it is?
Let's see. Carry the two. It's I don't know.
Well, it's March 1st. If you're listening to this the day it came out, it's MLS season.
Woo!
MLS started up, and one thing everyone's talking about coming into the MLS season are the hot threads being dropped by Adidas. All day I dream about soccer, dropping those hot MLS kits for 2022 season. You were sending some tweets here, or not tweets, because those are on Twitter. You were sending texts because those go to my messages app about the current power rankings of the MLS kits. And why don't you share with us like the top five, and then we'll talk about the one that you like the most, if you agree with the top five, and then we'll share where we saw the crew kit in the list and where it should have been.
All right. So their top five, starting at number five.
Yeah, because
Uh,
you're human. Of course, you start at five. You don't start at one, right? We got to build up the tension.
right, exactly. Um, their number five is the Inter Miami Heartbeat kit. I'm gonna give the kit names because they're fun. Uh, the Heartbeat kit, which is a solid pink, got the collar on it. I think longtime listeners of the show will know how I feel about that kit.
Mm.
Um, Number four, they had Atlanta United with the Forest kit, which is like green with like, I don't know, some kind of weird pattern on it.
Looks like a Legend of Zelda type thing.
Yeah, because apparently Atlanta is the city in the forest, which I've been to Atlanta. I've lived in the South my entire life, other than the few years I lived in Ohio. I've never once heard Atlanta referred to as the city in the forest. I've listened to a lot of Outcast over the years. I've never heard Outcast call it the city in the
They never
forest.
talked about tree bark. Never once did I hear
Uh-uh.
them talk about tree bark.
No. Number three is Orlando City's Sunshine Kit. It's kind of a white kit, got purple accents with like a purple, orange and yellow like sunburst coming out from the bottom, going toward the collar.
Yeah, it goes like purple to orange to yellow in these little,
Yeah.
like you said, sunbursts with a solid purple crotch region.
Yes. Yes. Similar to the Tottenham kit from a couple years ago that was like blue on the bottom that matched the shorts. The shorts were blue. It was like blue on the bottom and then like
Yeah, yeah,
faded
yeah,
into white at the top,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
couldn't tell where the pants started and the shirt stopped.
Looked like almost like Steve Urkel out there. Did I
Yeah.
do that? Because the pants look like they're up to their bellies or like the top. They don't have bellies. They're professional soccer players. We have bellies
So
because we
they're
watch
like
professional soccer.
so they're like abs because we watch
Yeah,
professional soccer while drinking.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Number two is the Portland Timbers Heritage Rose kit with it's kind of a cream color with like a with like these rose designs imprinted on it.
Yeah,
Um,
NWSL did it better. I think NWSL's the Portland Thorns kit. I own a black one with the red
that
kind of flowers on it. I
mm,
like. I think that one's even better in the same city. Racing Louisville's. We had Becky on here a couple weeks ago. That lavender kit is better. Like they put it number two. I think it's a good kit. It's not a bad kit, but really, NWSL did it better. I think they did it much better.
I tend to agree with you there. Number one is the LAFC kit. It is black and gold, like like gold, not like our what we call gold, but it's actually yellow, like actual gold, like gold member. And it's got this like black and gold kind of Art Deco-y
Yeah.
type design for those of you that are familiar with Art Deco. A lot of triangles. It's pretty sharp. Um, I kind of didn't have a huge problem. So kind of moving on to my opinion on things, I didn't have a huge problem with the ones they ranked highly. I really like all the ones they had. The only thing I would change, of course, is finally Inter Miami did the right thing, and they've gone to that all pink kit with the black accents, and then they added a collar,
Mm.
and I love me a collar on a soccer kit. That's got to be my number one for me. It's gorgeous. It's pretty.
Yeah, I it looks like a pink polo shirt. If you take the stripes off the shoulders on any of like the sponsorships, it's a pink polo shirt. Like I think that they had the theme this year on these kits are close up, or some not even close up. Like Colorado's a good example of it. They have accents, like they have some sort of
Yeah.
accent mark. They have some sort of embedded design into it. The Cruise has that embedded trapezoidal shape that kind of is part of their branding from last season going into the new stadium and all that. Yeah, I can see it. I can see why you like it. And it's a slick shirt. Like if I was a Miami fan, I'd be buying that jersey up. I'd be gobbling that kid up. But from the outside looking in, and also I say anything else about aesthetics, I am not somebody who's really good at saying, "Oh yeah, that looks great." And here's the graphic,
Yeah.
here's the design reasons. It's just I look at it, it's like, "Oh, I like that. That looks nice." Like that's as far as I get with my breakdown of
I'm a
logos and kits.
t-shirt and I'm a t-shirt and jeans, or jeans and t-shirt and
Yeah.
jeans or t-shirt and shorts kind of guy. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. The last kits they ranked 28 Montreal. It's this white jersey. It looks like they just splashed some lines of blue on it. Not
Yeah, that
great.
one's not great, Bob.
Toronto's is uh, it's a white and gray kit. It's white down
It's
one side, gray one side. It's cut in half. Right down the middle, it's white and gray.
and then
Looks like garbage.
the sleeves are reversed. So then the sleeve on the white side is gray, and
Oh
on
my
the
god.
gray side it's white. So they really
It's
put a
not
lot
great.
of work into that one.
Not great, Bob. The LAFC, the LA Galaxy one, it's all right. I'm
They
looking through the list. Like,
LAFC has to bring, or LA Galaxy. I can't believe they have a kid that doesn't have the sash. Like
yeah, you need a sash.
I associate the sash now with LA, like the Galaxy, because they've had that sash for so long. Like,
Mm,
how are you gonna get rid of the sash? That
yeah,
I feel
that
like that's almost like the Crew not having a yellow kit. Like I
yeah.
associate that with the Galaxy at this point.
Well, the Galaxy dropped 23 spots from 2021 because this power ranking showed where they were the last year. And they even put in the thing like there's no rationale for why they got rid of the sash. There's no then no one said why, no one said anything. San Jose's is black and it's white, but apparently down the sides, no two jerseys are the same. Like the designs down the side. I mean, it's cool. The Charlotte one, not the mint one, the home kit, like the primary kit, that that Charlotte blue and the white sleeves. I don't hate it. It
I
looks
love
kind of arsenally if it was,
it's the kit itself is kind of basic, but I love that color.
yeah, if it was
Um,
red though, it would be an Arsenal kit.
yeah, basically. Also while out, I saw somebody wearing the mint kit like out in the wild
Yeah,
on Saturday,
you like that one,
and
huh?
yeah, in person, it's even cooler. Like that's a cool ass kit.
Now, people, you said Crew said they have gold, and it's not really gold. Look at Nash, like comparing Nashville. You have to compare Nashville's kit to Columbus's kit, and there
Yeah.
is a difference.
Oh, for sure.
Columbus's is LAFC is gold, like you would think a gold medal, but
Right.
Crew is in the spectrum of yellow and gold. And we had some Nashville person drop into our replies because why not? It's Twitter. And they were like, "Oh, you have to pick one." And we're like, "No, we're the black and gold and we cheer for the yellow soccer team. We do whatever the hell we want because we were the first team in the league.
Because
We came around since
we're the
96.
originals.
Why don't you respect your elders?"
Get
Oh
out of here,
boy.
Junior. That Colorado Rapids kit,
It's nice.
the red with the design that's in it with like the mountains
Mhm.
on it, and then the red with like that baby like sky blue.
That maroonish. Yeah. Yeah. I,
One, this list ranked too high to me. I really don't like the New York City FC with the lightning bolt going down the middle of it.
you don't?
I don't. I think it's kind of weird. Just-
I think, like you mentioned, Colorado, Chicago's in the same thing, in the same boat. Having no jersey sponsor, that just kind of that looks weird to me now. I know,
It
like
does, yeah.
as much as we try to, hate on capitalism and all that stuff in here, it's become commonplace in soccer to have some sort of sponsor. And now it even when you see a team without a sponsor on it, you think, oh God, my front office is not in good shape. Like we were worried a couple times in the last 5 years, like, oh God, oh, the Crew might not have a sponsor. And it was like the final hour that it would be released who the sponsor is. It kind of looks bad when your team doesn't have a sponsor. So the fact that Chicago Fire's number 8 with their water tower kit, and Colorado is right at number 11. They put Crew, by the way, at number 9. It's whatever. I mean, it's their goal kit. It's fine. I'm not buying one, but
It's
there was some
it's
better kits this year. I mean, I guess.
it's a nice kit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything revolutionary. I mean, obviously, it's what it should be though, given the Crew. Like
Yeah.
they should always have a yellow gold, whatever you want to call it. They should always have that color kit.
I think my dark horse favorite kit, and they've done this before, and I've liked it before. The Vancouver Whitecaps.
Mm.
I don't know what it is about that. It's not a sash, right? It's just a horizontal. It's just a banner across the middle. But that dark blue with the white banner on it and stuff, I like it. I'm a fan of Vancouver's, and also it's a little easier to take in whenever they got spanked by the Crew over the weekend. But
Pantsed
that's a
them.
nice kit. That's a nice kit.
It reminds me of like throwback baseball uniforms,
Yeah, like the White
like
Sox,
the
where they
White
used to have the
Sox.
white jersey with the
Yeah,
black.
with the
Yeah.
black and red like across it.
It was like a
And
blue. Wasn't it like a dark blue? I'm trying to the
yeah, I think it was. I don't know. There's a
I don't know.
the Charlotte Knights are their AAA affiliate
Mm.
here, so they've got one that I've honestly considered buying because it's so cool and it's not the White Sox. As a Cubs fan, I could never buy a White Sox anything, but it says CLT on it instead
Ah.
of Chicago White Sox. So yeah, it's
Oh
pretty cool.
dang. Okay. Okay, I can see that. Well, um, great times. MLS kits, they're fine. I think NWSL does a better job. But those are the kits for 2022. We didn't talk about all of them, but what are you gonna do?
Tell us what you think your favorite kids are. Did we completely screw that up? Tell us. Let us know on social media.
Yeah. At Brian Me. We're
Hey,
also available on Instagram at Brian Me. Reply to our or just yell at us, DM us, whatever you want to do.
slide into those DMs.
Hey now, let's slide into our podcast.
Slide to the left.
Slide to the right. Take it back now, y'all. Freeze. Everybody
Everybody
clap your
clap
hands.
your hands.
Come on. Reverse.
Charlie Brown.
Welcome to Bright Me. We're a podcast where we talk about soccer and other things, other podcasty things. Hey, welcome back to our show. We're really excited to have you all here. We are here with a very focused focus in tonight's show, where we've got the next chapter of the Brian Me NWSL preview specials. And tonight we have the two hosts of Soccer Over Gotham, Gary and Ruby and Gary. They work together like peanut butter and jelly. We were so happy to have them on the show. We had an awesome interview that you're about to hear, talking about all things Gotham FC, from the front office to the coaching staff to the players to changeover of players, bringing in new people. We got some details about Robbie Rogers getting nutmegged a few times. It's everything you'd hope for and more in an interview. Brian, quick reaction. How'd you feel about the interview before we even get to it?
It was a lot of fun. No,
Yeah.
they're good folks. They made us sound like professionals for once. So no, it was a good time.
Yeah. Usually when we're not talking, we sound very professional when we're not
Right.
talking. But let's keep talking. Before we get into the interview, we have a few sports teams that we really love, but we don't want to talk whole segments about them. We still want to cover a little bit in our little segment we call the rundown. I don't know if that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called. I might have called it that the last few weeks. We're going to go through some scores, maybe bant a little bit, just a slight little bit, and then we'll get into our main topic of our show. So, Brian, let's start off with the Tottenhams. How did the Taunton Canadian Bacons do?
They got a W.
Dub City.
They got a W that got a coach fired. So
Leeds.
That they did. They got a 4-0 victory over Leeds, which I know everyone hates to see.
Confidence
Um,
booster there.
just
The scariest match. PL asked Twitter, "What match would if you go to any PL match? What would you pick?" And we tweeted from Brian me. I would pick Leeds versus Burnley so I could see death in the face.
I'm thinking like if I get a protective bubble, Red
Mm.
Star Belgrade and I
Oh
don't know whoever their
gosh.
rival is, but only if I have this like magic protective bubble because Jesus, that looks terrifying. Um, no, I mean Tottenham took care of business, 4-0 victory, came with a goal, some with a goal. They they assisted each other, became the highest scoring combination in Premier League history, which was kind of a cool little deal. Took care of business. We're winning 3-0 in the 26th minute. So it was a game that was never really in
Yes.
doubt. It was one of those that are
Yeah.
fun, especially when you get a 7:30 kickoff. That's all you can ask for.
Mm.
Beat a team you're supposed to beat.
Wake
Let's
people up. Yeah.
take care of business early. Let's coast the rest of the game. And that's what they did. And then, yeah, Bielsa got fired. So you're welcome, Jesse Marsh, because Jesse Marsh is the new coach there at their
USA,
Leeds.
USA, USA. Just don't accidentally call it soccer in the media. You'll get fired like Bob Bradley did at Swansea City.
Even though they created that word, but that's neither here nor there.
It's revisionist history. Okay. The Tottenham's women's team did not play. They've
They
been off.
they're just taking a break, I guess. They haven't played since February 13th in
Well, yeah,
a
the FA Cup coming up.
that's true. Yeah, I think we had international duty and then the FA Cup, which Tottenham aren't in. So
Yeah,
they lost the luster to go out of that one. So no, they're just chilling at home.
speaking of losing the FA Cup, let's move over to Liverpool. Liverpool women played Arsenal Sunday morning. Did not go well. They lost 4-0. First goal was run a play. It was just it was a goal that Arsenal created. Good for them. I think it was in the teens minutes or something like that. Liverpool had some chances. Liverpool actually was getting balls up the field and stuff. Just had a couple chances to capitalize. They didn't do it. And then I think it was McCabe, I want to say, for Arsenal. Felix will drop in the replies and let me know what I messed up. The second goal that was scored by Arsenal, I don't know any goalkeeper in the world that's saving the shot. It was a volley, rocket of a volley into the top corner. Nobody was stopping it. It was just world class. It was, there's no, I couldn't hate it. My team was down 2-0 and I was like, I'm not even mad. I saw that live. That's amazing.
You're like if you're the keeper in that one, that goes in, and you're just like, all right, tip your cap,
There you go.
give a
That was
little
all, yeah.
applause. All right, good one. And move
No,
on
no one's
because
stopping it. No one's angry on the field about that. It was off a corner kick. Ball fell at her feet. It was right like a couple of yards outside of the 18-yard box. Beautiful. Beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Chelsea against Liverpool. There was I think it was Kovacic or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know everybody's name on Chelsea. Earlier in the Premier League season, it's just this ball comes right at your feet. You just don't even let it bounce. Smack it in the air, and it just no one can stop it. Yeah, they end up losing 4-0. Not great. Then Liverpool played Chelsea in the Carabou Cup trophy match, which 120 minutes of 0-0 soccer. If I told you that, you'd think, oh my God, that sounds awful. It was the most exciting 0-0 120 minutes I have ever seen. Like, I'm not like, there were goals disallowed. There were goals that were close. Mason Mount hit the post, I think, like 3 times. He missed 3 chances. I'm sure he's not going to regret those decisions for the rest of his life. And then in the 118th minute, they bring in Kepa, who is Chelsea's goalkeeper for penalties. They brought him in a few years ago, and he got out. He got unseated by Mendy because Kepa was not good in the run of play.
Wasn't he the most expensive goalkeeper in history?
Kepa was at the time. Yeah, he was more expensive than Allison. And so they bring in Kepa, and even they say, oh, the last 3 of these penalty kick rounds, Kepa's come in and Kepa's won 3 penalty things in a row. comments that precede unfortunate events.
Yeah.
So the third, Liverpool ends up winning. Every kicker on Liverpool makes their shot. Even the goalkeeper, Callum Kelleher, Mike Kelleher's cousin, he took the final shot. The goalkeeper took the final shot. And I'm watching every kick, and every kick goes in, and I'm like, okay, this guy's definitely going to miss it. And when we got to Konate, who's the newest center back we have, he came in with like 20 minutes left in the match. Kelleher goes up. I think, oh, these guys are definitely going to miss it. Kepa doesn't stop anything, but then also Kelleher doesn't stop anything. Kepa, who is brought in to win penalty kick shootouts with his goalkeeping, steps up to the plate, steps up to the penalty spot. And I think, okay, we're going to go through the road. You're going to go through the order again. He kicks the ball. It goes into the 20th row. It is just gone. He launches it over
a Luis Diaz special.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. I was at a friend's house because my wife was staying at a friend's over the weekend, and her husband, Ryan, he's been on the show before. He's a Chelsea fan, so we watched it there. I scared the crap out of everybody in that house because I jumped, and I don't show much emotion, but whenever I'm at a sporting event or at this moment I'm watching it and Liverpool wins, I jumped up and pretty much like screamed, and I scared the poo out of some people. It was beautiful. I'll tell you the moment though that lost it for Kepa. I think it was the third penalty kick taker for Liverpool was Virgil van Dijk. Center back is the third penalty kick taker. Kepa, as you're watching, if you're looking at Kepa, he's on the left side of the goal, and he's kind of hopping, and he knows that Virgil's going to go to his left. Virgil goes to his left, and he just powers it past Kepa. Kepa gets a glove on it, but he almost took his glove off. He top corner, he just rocket into the net. But what Virgil does, this is the moment that ended that penalty kick shootout in the third person. After he makes it, he kicks and he's staring at Kepa the whole time. After it goes into the net, he's still staring down the goalkeeper. Virgil is. And Virgil's not a small man.
That's not a small human.
So your defender, your center back, who was the second most expensive center back behind Harry Maguire, insert laughter here. Virgil van Dijk buries this penalty and just, I think, scares the living daylights out of Kepa.
I'd have pooped myself.
And Kepa, he didn't get close to another one. Every Liverpool player, 18-year-old Harvey Elliott steps up, buries it. Like they showed no fear, and then Liverpool won a 0-0 match on the 11th penalty kick round. It was equal parts frustrating, motivating, and I won't say the third word I was going to say. Also, the day before, we're going to talk last thing about soccer rundown. Crew won 4-0 in the MLS regular season opener. Woo! Don't hate that. The Crew scored 4 winger goals from the run of play in all of 2021. Derek Etienne scored 1 goal in like the second to last match of the season last year. Luis Diaz scored 1 goal in like the second or third month of the season last year, and that was it. In Saturday's match, Etienne scores a goal and Luis Diaz score a goal in the first match of the season. Lucas Zelarayan, Armenian national team star, gets an assist and a goal. And then Miguel Berry, he buries one of his own. It's not a bad way to start your season.
And I just want to say that we never doubted Luis Diaz or said anything negative about him ever.
We're the official Luis Diaz Stan account. We all know that. You all know that.
Don't go back and double check that.
Oh, no.
I definitely have never said that he always puts balls in like the 12th row. Definitely didn't.
And you definitely didn't just say that 2 minutes ago.
Didn't say that earlier in this episode. No, I mean that's exactly the way. Like, this was a team. I know there was great wringing of hands on Crew Twitter when Caleb Porter said that this was a team that's going to have to grind it out this year, and they're not going to score a lot of goals. And so I think starting the season off where you get 4 goals on a team they were a good team last year. Like,
they were a playoff team, yeah.
This is not some like You know, you didn't do this to Cincy,
This wasn't
for
the
instance.
Sisters of the Poor or anything like that.
No, it's a good playoff team from last year, that you do that to. So, you know, it's a damn good way to
Yeah.
start the year off in front of your home crowd. It starts my Lucas Zelarayan MVP campaign.
Yeah.
Hey, what better way to start than with an assist and a goal, man?
It was a lot of fun. Now Vancouver, they didn't look good. Either they were just still knocking off the rust from preseason, they were ill prepared for the Crew, or the Crew are just super motivated and they came out in front of a home crowd and they did what they had to do. I mean, Caleb Porter in the post match said they should have scored more goals. He said they should have scored more. Just the chances that they had, Vancouver wasn't great. I think once they scored 2 goals, they kind of sat back. Vancouver lost a guy. Crew sat back a little bit more because, like, oh, we're up 2-0. They have 10 men. Then they scored the last 2 goals in the 83rd and 87th minute. So I think there's an element of truth to that. I think maybe all three of those things were right. That Vancouver was
Yeah.
knocking off rust. They weren't prepared for the Crew. And maybe the Crew are going to be really good. You're not going to get 4-0 performances every week. But if this team's healthy, my goodness, everyone crapped on the Crew all season last year, but they forget that they gave up less than a goal a match in 2020 and won the MLS Cup, holding the Seattle Sounders, who averaged 2 goals a game, to 0 goals in the championship game. This is not a team far removed from that. And I've been saying that much to the angst of the Eric Neals of the world, who complained bitterly about how horrible the Crew are and stuff like that. And a lot of people on Twitter.
Eric complaining.
I went to the tailgate. I did not drink. I went to the tailgate before my media, whatever you call it,
Well,
writer duties.
You didn't drink because there was a funnel, right?
Oh God, I didn't drink anything because I wanted to go into the press box not smelling like booze. But I was at the tailgate and I heard. I was halfway down the tailgate. It's in the Grandview area here in Columbus, and the QAR, the Quar tent, was at the far end, and I was in the middle of the tailgate, and it was loud, but I heard the faint sound of complaining, and I looked over, and Eric Neal was there. It's like I was the Eric Whisperer. He just got to the tailgate while I was talking with good pal Pete Gillette and Justin Edwards, which I don't think Pete or Justin probably remember talking to me. Yeah.
They were having a good time.
It was a tailgate. It was a fun time. And being the sober person at the tailgate, very different feeling. Very different feeling. But it was great. There was a lot of joy and merriment. I don't think it's going to be an every week thing, but I think the Crew team is a lot better than people say. And Derek Etienne, you said you have to have these rough performances, and they're going to have really close matches. A week before, Derek Etienne was saying, if we're firing, we're going to score 3 or 4 goals a game. He said that a week and a half before. Porter's like, no, it's going to be close games. And then during the match, I fired up the Twitter machine, and one of our photographers, Sam Fahmy, he got this amazing picture of Derek Etienne doing the gritty. Do you know the gritty?
I don't.
It's a dance craze that's sweeping the nation. And he did the gritty on the field after he scored, and he got the picture, and I tweeted out, gritty performance greater than gritty performance. And I thought that was good tweeting. And I'm definitely not an old man who had to verify that it was spelled gritty and that gritty was a real thing before I tweeted it. Just because I'm so hip and young, I knew that it was a real thing.
Are the kids not flossing anymore?
No. Teeth or dance moves. I don't think the flossing is happening.
They've stopped doing the Charleston.
No, I think the jitterbug might have gone out of style.
The twist. That chubby checker with the kids doing the twist.
Oh man. Something that's not going to go out of style is our next portion of the show. We're going to get into our meat and taters of our episode, NWSL preview of Gary and Ruby and Gary, Soccer Over Gotham podcast. Got a couple great folks. We just met them in this episode, and they are great people, and I think you should listen to their podcast and unsubscribe from ours. So let's jump into that interview we had with Gary and Ruby. Hey, welcome everybody. Tonight we jump into our third NWSL preview special. So far, we've had on Becky Morgan to talk about Racing Louisville. We had Justin Horniger on last week to talk about the Casey Current. And you're in for a real treat tonight because we get to make not one person, but two people regret their decision to come on the show at the same time. We have Ruby Pinto and Gary Gibson. They're the co-hosts of the Soccer Over Gotham podcast. They talk about Gotham and the NWSL as a whole, but tonight we've got really a one-track mind, at least for the soccer-related questions, and that is NJNY Gotham FC. So Gary and Ruby, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us.
Ooh, thank you. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot of fun. I know you're big friends of our friend Robbie, so glad to make both you guys happy.
Wait, you guys are friends with Robbie?
He's the one who kept begging me to get on the show, so
he did. Wait, he begged for you to get on Bryant and me?
Yeah, this is his favorite two shows, so we'll put them together. His favorite crossover episode.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
We might get like 100 listens from him alone. That's okay. Yeah. I'll take it.
So for Robbie, this is like when the Flintstones met the Jetsons or something.
Or like when Urkel was in Full House. When Urkel was on Full House. There's one where Stephanie went to Family Matters wasn't as good. But no, because whenever we posted this episode, real quick before we get into our questions, he felt like we were cheating on him. Because we brought you on to talk Gotham. Like he even replied online. Maybe it's just the Bants, but he called us like traitors. Because last season, every time that Chicago played Gotham, Robbie was on the show the week before the game. Like we just had this thing going, and Robbie has just become like the little brother of Brian and me. And I wasn't even going to bring him up tonight. I wasn't going to do it until Ask Bam because I wanted to focus on you all, but you brought him up.
Yeah, Robbie's one of those people that just he makes everybody around him better. So I like Robbie a lot.
Yeah, that's nice. So he's getting pictures with like NCAA coaches, like LSU's coach and players. Like he's just everyone's like retweeting him. He's the man. We should all be happy to hang out.
He knows like he's like a politician. Because I don't think he's ever met a stranger in his life. Like
that's just met friends he hasn't met yet.
Yeah,
he's the unofficial mayor of New Jersey, New York, Gotham.
That's true.
Wherever he lives.
I got to play with him at the fantasy camp Gotham had. I believe it was in December. It feels like a long time ago. It was just in December.
And you megged him, right?
I did. Sorry, Robbie. I had to tell everyone I megged you. It was not intentional, but it happened, and I was like, now I have to tell everyone.
Not consciously intentional.
Please tell me that there's video of that somewhere.
Oh, you can just ask Scott. He was there too. The coach.
Oh, we know Scott. We know Scott-ish. We should ask Scott to be on the show, Brian. Do you think he would say yes?
No, I don't think he would.
Well, we tried. But anyway,
very realistic.
No, we've had like some of his former players on. Like we had Kealia and Danny and Bianca.
We had his former boss on, Sarah Spain.
Yeah, we had his former boss on. Yeah, one of his former bosses. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Gotham Football Club. Y'all.
Yeah. All right. So our normal first question we always start, and it's particularly fun this week given the name of the club. I'm a total comic book nerd, and so I always word this question this way. Like every superhero kind of has their origin story, like Spider-Man with the spider, and Batman, his parents were killed, so on and so forth, Superman from Krypton. So what, for both of you, kind of what's your origin story kind of with the sport of soccer and then with kind of starting to follow Gotham?
So Ruby, you go first.
Wow, put me on the spot here, Gary.
You're the star of the show. So
I was like, my head is blank. But the origin of Gotham. Do you want a made up origin of Gotham?
Or just how you fell in love with the sport and then how you found Gotham FC.
How I fell in love with the sport. So technically how I fell in love with soccer was since I was a little kid with my grandpa. He was the one watching soccer all the time. So I would sit in his big sofa with him and watch soccer all the time. And that's how I fell in love with soccer. And then I would play when I was little, street soccer, and with all my friends outside. And even with I had a broken arm. I remember this really well. I was still playing, and my grandma would come out and tell me, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing out there playing soccer with your broken arm? But that's what I liked. And then I got to play more when I was in high school. Really liked it. And then I played maybe about 4 years after high school in a small league club. Then I injured my knee, and that's how it ended. But I still love soccer, and I wanted to be in some way be part of it. And that's when I moved to New Jersey 7 years ago, and I wanted to be involved with soccer. And I found Sky Blue back then. So it was Sky Blue FC. And I was like, oh, and I started researching, like, wow, Carli Lloyd is in in Sky Blue. So I was like, all right, I have to go see a game. So in 2019, I went and watched Sky Blue back then at Rutgers. And that's how I was like, this is my team. Like from then I just started following and going to every game. But then COVID happened and I was like, great. But I still watched it from home and I've been enjoying it. And then me and Gary started doing the podcast for Gotham. And it's been a while right now. I love it.
Great. You said you played soccer with a broken arm. I think Brian and me, we've called off podcasts for like splinters. So the fact that you played with a broken arm, that's amazing. That is great. That's awesome.
So, I mean, soccer's not always been easy to find on TV. Like you said, your grandpa was watching it when you were a kid. Like what was he watching?
So I'm originally from Guatemala. So when I was a kid, we used to watch it in Guatemala. And
cool.
It was, I remember it, every team has a color. So it was like the white team and the red team. And all I knew was my grandpa was going for the red team. So that was my team, the red team. That was the locals in Guatemala. And that's cool. How I watched it here. Women's soccer is really hard to watch here in the US and it's crazy.
Still is.
Yeah, and it's crazy to me. And that's why me and Gary started doing this podcast, to put it out there and kind of, get it out there so people know what's going on. Again, we try to like bring the NWSL and Gotham FC to everyone that listens. And also like if we have any info, like for example, last season, we were telling people that if you have T-Mobile, you can sign up for Paramount Plus for free if you have T-Mobile for a year. So, hey, that's if you don't want to spend money, this is a way for you to watch soccer.
Right on.
All right, so for me, I grew up with the soccer ball at my feet. My older brother played, so I was always on the sideline just mimicking what he was doing. And I grew up with, single mother. So she was my superhero. So she's superhero for me. So I always root for women. That's what I do. And I played soccer my entire life. I played in high school, played in college. I played in semi-pro up and down the East Coast. I got a chance to play professional in Belize and Guatemala and a little bit in Mexico for a little bit. And then I came back. My career ended after tearing my ACL for the second time. And I decided to take a break from the sport. And I got into real estate for way too long. And I decided over this COVID to go back to school, finish my degree in sports management, get into soccer, and I went to soccer management. So that's probably what I'm going to be going to. And then with Gotham, I always played soccer, but I never really watched it. So about 2015, after the World Cup, my girlfriend and I got really into it. So we're like, let's go check out a local team. And we went to a Red Bulls game and saw one game, led to two games, led to three games, led to season tickets. Then I got the chance to have my niece and nephew up for the summer in 2016. And I decided to not only, because they're both soccer players, it's like, why not we just check out the women's game too? I like women's sports. Why not? Let's give it a shot. Went there and it was an amazing game at Rutgers. Sam Kerr was put on a show and she was just absolutely amazing. And Sheridan was an incredible keeper. And just right away, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to support. And this is everything to me. So I went head on to that. And I've been, following the sport ever since.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. We have a pro player in our midst. We've got all this. Wow. This is like
former pro.
I'm glad nobody's ever asked us this question. That's awesome. That's great. You two are like that. That's amazing. That's cool. you both kind of mentioned former players on the team. Ruby, especially, you mentioned this player's name. Kind of moving to the next question. There was a polarizing figure on your team in 2021 that kind of took a lot of attention. Some people would say took attention away. Some people would say brought attention to the team. But I wanted to get both of your inputs on that one, Carli Lloyd. How do you feel about kind of Gotham now that she's off the team? Do you think that that's a positive? Do you think there's a gap in the club now? Where does Gotham move on now without? I mean, she did bring a ton of attention. It was pretty huge. It was a storyline that I'm sure you all heard a million times. We heard it 500,000 times, and we're not in the Gotham circles. So, what did you all think about coming into the season sans Lloyd?
Yeah. So with Lloyd is the most singularly focused individual that you're ever going to see.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing else in her world than her own kind of personal glory and winning for the United States national team. And she is so focused on that she kind of doesn't get anything else that's going on around her. So she's very, how to put this, she has a hard time separating herself from everything that's going on around her. So wasn't considered very good supporting her teammates because all she was there to do was play soccer and win games. And that's all she was focused on, herself and her own glory, which is fine if you're rooting for her on the national team. But as a Sky Blue Gotham fan, you always felt that she was using Sky Blue kind of as a practice field for her national team glory. So she would always be disconnected from the team as far as when she played on the field. But there is something that Carli brings that no other player on the planet can bring, and she could rise to anybody's occasion. And I felt when she came back and she decided that her career was done with the national team, she was finally focused on Gotham. And I thought she was a really good teammate down the stretch. I thought she was really connected with the team down the stretch. She gave everything. And I'm glad we had that part of Carli Lloyd. I wish we would have had her for longer, that type of Carli Lloyd, but it is what it is. As far as is the team missing her, I would honestly say no. I don't think she would ever really fit quite in. I always talked that Gotham was missing a number 10, and they kind of made Carli, who's a number 9, play the number 10 spot. And we had two incredible forwards in Anamano and Purse. So having Mewis on this team as a number 10, an actual number 10, I think lifts this team more than having a star 3 number 9s, essentially.
Definitely. I totally agree with Gary, everything he had to say. And of course, Carli Lloyd's a big name, so that attract a lot of people to come to the games. She was kind of like the mainstream player that was out there in the national team and brought attention to the team. And I also agree with Gary what he said, that it kind of felt that Carli Lloyd was kind of like taking Sky Blue or Gotham kind of like a practice, for the national team. It kind of felt that way. It was probably not, but that's how it felt. And I did see the shift, like Gary said, after she announced her retirement. And also after the rebrand, I think she saw all the good things that Gotham was doing for their players and the turnaround that they made from Sky Blue to Gotham. When those things happen, it actually it motivates you and it makes you want to put the effort for that team, like, hey, this team is changing for me, for the players, and I want to put in the work as well.
I mean, that makes total sense. I had covered Carli's last match in Cleveland, the U.S. women's national team, back in September. And in the post-match interview, she was talking to us, and she even mentioned how her focus, you mentioned both of her focus on the national team, her focus on competing and challenging, and everything she did was towards the national team. And she mentioned that day, I think she scored, like 5 goals, because it was a couple friendlies that were not competitive friendlies by any means. But she mentioned in the presser that it was the first time really that she's played that she was paying attention to what the crowd was saying. Like, she was seeing what people were saying on signs and what people were yelling from the stands. Like, and she said for years, how long had she played? Over like 20 years or something like that. Yeah. She's like, I never focused on it. I was always so focused on the ball and scoring. And I could see where you mentioned like a really strong individual. Of all the team sports out there, like soccer's not really a game for too many individuals. Like there's characters and there's personality, but you have to work really well with 9 other players and a goalkeeper. And like you said, it felt like most Gotham people you talk to, like really supporting the team regularly, they were more like, okay, maybe it's time to move on. And other folks, like you both mentioned, she drew a crowd. She brings people in. All the U.S. women's national team players do. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I still like her as a player. I just don't think we ever got the Carli Lloyd good teammate, as in the earlier years. But
yeah, I still have a feeling she'll probably come back to Gotham in some kind of way, coaching or something. She's always giving out the hints on Twitter, like, I want to be there. Who knows?
Could she switch to a coach though? Does she have the personality to go from I'm about myself to now I'm going to foster somebody else's development? That doesn't seem like a logical step for her. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see her as a coach, as a GM or something like that, possibly. But I think sure. she's too much in her own head.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because she doesn't also strike me as like a ambassador type for the club either. Like, she doesn't strike me as the type that you're going to want to bring out to, like, yeah, she's a big name, yeah, she's going to draw a crowd, but she doesn't strike me as the type you want out, like, speaking on behalf of Gotham, like in the community. She just doesn't strike me as having that kind of a personality that you really want selling your club to the public.
Yeah, right. Agreed.
Well, wasn't she doing something with the union? The union hinted something after she retired, or was that hinting her last game in Philadelphia?
The last game.
Okay. That's what I kind of thought, but I just half remembered it. And I was like, wait, is there something? Is she doing something else? Because she's going to stay in the game. There's no way she leaves soccer.
They moved the entire game that Gotham's playing to her hometown in Philly, or close by. She was from Delran, but just for her, which I can't think of another player that's happened for. So
yeah,
she is who she is.
Did you both go?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
That was amazing.
That's great. They have a nice stadium. I'm a sucker for a stadium that has a bridge in the background. Anytime there's a bridge in the background, the stadium, in the landscape, I'm a sucker for those. Like, it just gets me. So Philly, I want to go to Philly Stadium someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Gotham this season, they didn't stand pat. They weren't just like, all right, Carli's leaving, let's just chill. We got what we got. They made a lot of moves. They had Kristie Mewis, they had Ashton Harris and Ali Krieger. So which edition are you guys most excited about?
Definitely Mewis for me.
Yeah.
I think, like we've been saying in our podcast for a long time, we need a strong midfield, because we have Anumano, we had Mitch, we're great on top. And then Mewis coming in as a midfielder, like, going to close the deal, we're going to get those goals we've been looking for.
Yeah, I concur on that. I'm most excited about the depth of this team. This team went out and got all the missing pieces that we needed as far as our depth is concerned. And I'm very happy about that. We were kind of really thin last season, but you can't discount what Mewis can bring to this team as an actual number 10. If I'm sure all listeners here saw the last national team game, Mewis made that great run off of Mitch's cutback. And that's going to happen a lot this season. I just can't wait.
I was going to say that was a preview of things to come, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that was
at least that's what you're hoping for. Does Krieger, you think, play alongside Lewandowski at center back?
That is the biggest question I have for this team going forward. Unfortunately, as we all know, trying to get a hold of what's going on inside the team is really tough, even as someone who's as connected as a team as we are.
Sure.
Where Krieger is going to play is probably the biggest question I have for this team. This team is already 3 deep at center back. We have Freeman, who's a good budding star, and we've got Lewandowski and Johnson, who are stalwarts back there. So does she replace one of them too? Do they go, 5 in the back? Do they do 3 center backs, have her on the left side, and then push Dorsey and Didasco higher? that's an idea. She could play in the midfield. There is one spot she has played before. There's one spot that's kind of up in the air for Gotham, which is the kind of left underneath midfielder. She could play there because she can go forward as well. She's one of the most technically sound players on the planet. I think she'd be a good spot there too. But honestly, I don't know. She could be anywhere.
Sounds like a good problem to have.
Yeah. What do you think, Ruby?
I have to agree with Gary. Like, we don't know, but then we have the Challenge Cup coming up. So I think that's where Scott's actually gonna like kind of try new things there. And we'll see who best fits that position. And I don't want to like say anything now. I want to watch the Challenge Cup, and then from there, I know I'm gonna have my opinions.
Because I don't like, and this is not to just fire up Robbie, but I don't see Krieger and Lewandowski playing next to each other. Because like you said, you have Estelle Johnson, you have Freeman there. Like you don't want to lose mobility at center back. Like the NWSL is a quick league. You have teams that run. You have teams that, and you kind of like, and this wasn't Lewandowski's fault. I think that it was just a bad turnover in a bad spot. But in the playoffs last year against Chicago, like you needed your defense to be ready to go, and then you see Pugh curl that beautiful shot in. And I know we're Chicago fans, so I'm sorry, I'm not trying to rehash old wounds or anything, but you need to have speed into your defense. It can't just be, established players. No offense.
And that's true, because Pugh has a great like amount of speed, as well as Williams. Like we have Williams with a great speed. We have Pugh with great speed. We have Trinity Rodman with great speed. So we have a lot of these players that we need to be ready for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Robbie just logged off because you were talking trash about Lewandowski.
No, he'll be he'll be texting me. He won't even go to Twitter on that one. He'll text me directly about the Gina hate. On the goalkeepers, the one thing that every team seemed to do, except for I think two teams, everybody was trading to get protection. Everyone was so scared of the expansion draft, which so many trades ended up making the expansion draft kind of a moot point. It wasn't that big of a thing this year. You lose Sheridan and Didi, and you replace them with Ashlyn Harris and Michelle Betos. So you have a lot of experience now in the net. But do you think that's a dip for Gotham? Do you think that losing Sheridan, losing Heritage like that is going to be something that they have to make up for? Because no offense to Harris, like she has great saves, and she made some big saves last year, but I don't know if that's an improvement for me.
You take that one, Rob.
Robbie's not here. But you're right. I mean, we lost two great players, two great goalkeepers. I didn't really see it coming, and we still don't really know the reasons why. But then again, we did get two great goalkeepers as well. What I've said, Ashlyn Harris is a great goalkeeper. She showed up for Orlando last season. I think if it would have been for Ashlyn Harris, it could have been a little, I don't want to say bad because it was bad, but it would have been worse for Orlando.
They competed for a while. Like they were in the top of the league for like a month. Like they were up in the top of the league for a good chunk of the first third of the season.
Yeah, they were. I think they had like 9 games undefeated or something like that. So yeah, that says a lot about them. But it didn't go the way it was supposed to go. But either way, so we got Ashlyn Harris now. Great talent. We are not gonna like argue about that because she does have great talent. But what we are going to argue is like, okay, we're getting a veteran, kind of like at the end of her career. Was that the right move? Maybe yes, maybe no. And then we also got Betos, also another great goalkeeper. We just have to see, honestly. We just have to see. And I do have faith in Ashlyn Harris and Betos. They bring a lot of experience, and they've been in the league for a while. So I don't think, like, oh, experience is going to be, we're going to have a lack of experience there.
Right.
I would say it's pretty undeniable that Sheridan is one of the top 5 keepers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody could really argue that. So you can't lose a top 5 keeper essentially in the world and not take a step back. You don't really replace that. The team got 10 years older in the position, so it's interesting as well. With the team that is, I think we were 28 or 29 was the average age of our playoff team. So we just got a bit older there as well. So there's that. Harris is a good keeper, and her move is more what's called a big club move. She brings fans, and I guarantee you, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I guarantee you the season ticket holder rate went up 50%, at least 50%. Mm-hmm. So she's bringing fans, she's bringing in butts and seats. There's going to be a lot of new energy in that stadium, and Red Bull Arena is expensive to rent, especially when you're not pulling in the fans. When I had a Zoom meeting with Elise LaHue, the former GM, which we might get into that later, but she basically said that it was expensive to rent even at the 8,000, 9,000 seat mark. And Gotham was pulling in maybe 4 to 5 at the end there. So this will bring us closer to that, making Red Bull Arena sustainable. It's something that the club had to do. It's a big time move.
Yeah, that's huge, because I went to Racing Louisville's first match last year in the Challenge Cup, and they played Orlando, and a lot of Orlando fans were there. Now, also granted, you had Alex Morgan on the team, and you have some names. You have I saw a lot of Marta jerseys in the crowd, but Harris is huge. The power of the Crashlands is real, and I think that hopefully
it is real.
Hopefully for the attendance purposes, because I would love to see Gotham, filling out Red Bull. I like to see them have a better place to play than New Jersey Technical Institute or something like that they played in beginning of last season. Was that no? Last year didn't they play at a different school, like a smaller school before?
Montclair. Yeah.
Montclair. Yeah. I would love to see them play in a better kind of position, and hopefully, like you said, Harris can get tickets, and then if the team is good, that's a great way to sell tickets too. Is if you get people in the seats and then you win games.
Yeah, I knew we were in for it when the trade got announced, and the first thing that popped up on my phone was People Magazine talking about it. I was like, that's not ESPN, not People Magazine. I was like, okay, these guys are celebrities. This is going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Just don't upset the Crashlands. Be aware.
I'm all in on Crashland this year. All in.
Oh, good.
All in.
Good. A question about the front office, and you mentioned GM. Not really. Maybe the GM is connected in this conversation, but in 2021, for folks who are listening and maybe didn't follow Gotham or maybe new to the NWSL, the goal of this preview series too is folks who don't watch it regularly can maybe learn about these teams and pick up one. Gotham had Frey Kuhn as the manager, kind of running the show, running the team, until something really odd happened. Angel City is like, hey, yeah, Freya's going to join our team at the end of the season. And then it was maybe a week, maybe it's just a few days. I can't tell. That was a long time ago. They're just like, yeah, she's just going to keep coaching and then leave this team at the end of the season. From the outside perspective, I thought that was lunacy. I thought that was insane that you're keeping on a coach whenever she's going to be leaving your team for another league team at the end of the year. What did folks in kind of Gotham, what did the two of you think? You don't have to speak for the whole supporterdom, but what did you two think, and what did you kind of feel from the supporters of the club?
We were so confused. Like, honestly, like what's going on here? And it looks like Freya didn't go by herself. She took our goalkeeper coach. She took not Sheridan. She took Didi with her. Who else did she take? Because I feel like she took half of the team over there. But yeah, what kind of nonsense, really? Like, okay, I already have another job lined up, and it's gonna be, one of your competitors, but I'm gonna stay here and coach you guys. It does not make sense, because then your headed's not in Gotham anymore. Your headed's in LA, in sunny LA.
And then for LA side, your head's not completely in LA and they want to get prepared for their first season. So your head's still, so either way, she wasn't going to make either team fully happy being in that situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, I think she should have left sooner, but it happened how it happened. What do you think, Gary?
Well, we did name our podcast right after we heard the news. Thank you, next.
Yeah.
So I think you know how we felt about that. So yeah, it was. My thoughts are always, as a former player, my thoughts are always in the locker room, and I know how these players are. Yeah. I know what goes through their heads. You want your coach to be there for you, and because you're doing everything you can. You're bought into what they're selling you, and they're telling you you're going to be there for them. You're going to be there for them. They're going to be there for you, and then you hear that somewhere else they got another job, and not only they got another job, they're going to be here, but they tell you they're not going to be thinking about that job there, which is a bigger job. You know, and it was the most coveted job in women's soccer at that time. So your head cannot be in two places. And again, she had power over the expansion draft. She had power over all that stuff. So it was a bad situation from the beginning. And I think that they were not going to tell anybody until later on the season, but LA was LA, and they just decided to just put it out there and just, I guess, brag about it. And it broke too early. So when I heard about it, I said, you know what? Thank you. See you later.
Yeah.
Good luck in LA.
Well, they took a dip in form too, right before the announcement. So did the players, did she tell the locker room? Did Angel City, hey, we're going to announce this here? Did the players know? Because they were Gotham was doing amazing. And then they lost 3 games in a row up until that point.
Yep.
Correct. And after they had a meeting with the players, they decided to let her go completely. So it was the players' decision to kind of break the ties. The last couple of games when she was with Gotham, she had this galaxy brain. She was playing 5 in the back, and then she was changing formations and playing different players in different spots. And it just, I don't know what her head was. Maybe that she was practicing for what she was going to do in LA, but it didn't fit what the team was. It just, and as soon as Scott Parson came in, went back to the 4 in the back. They started playing well again because I was being true to who they were. It was kind of weird.
She was kind of like, screw it. Let me try this. Let me try that. Oh, it's not working. Okay, doesn't matter. I'm leaving anyway.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, kind of like you said earlier, Gary. I can't imagine as a player, you're sitting there and she's like, yeah, I'm here, but I'm leaving. But yeah, believe that right now I have I can't imagine that was good for morale in the locker room. I don't know how hard I'm going to get out, and if I know my boss is leaving in a couple of, and I'm not a professional athlete, I'm just a schlub that works in an office. But if I know my boss is basically checked out, how hard am I really going to go bust my butt, every day for that organization? It seemed like, I don't know what their logic was in keeping her around after that came out.
And logic, go ahead, Ruby. Sorry.
And it kind of feels like they actually wanted to keep her till the end of the season. It kind of felt that way for a minute until they were like, all right, everybody's not liking this. So they let her go.
It was such a positive stretch from the ownership group, though. I mean, Sky Blue had a lot of issues. They're well documented. We don't need to go through all of them, but they went through and they rebranded. It looked like there was a new investment. They're putting money into the team. They're going to, take care of the players now. Who does it fall on to even blame for a situation? Why do you let your coach interview for a job with another team halfway through the season? Don't they have to approve that? Doesn't somebody in Angel City have to say, hey, Gotham, can I interview your coach? And why is somebody sure, go ahead? Do you know the logic, or have you heard anything about the process of how that happened?
We haven't heard anything, but it kind of feels like he was on her way out. So she was like, sure, why not? You can go ahead and interview. I don't know what's going on there, but what do you think, Gary?
Sky Blue had absentee ownership for a long time. And then when Elise took over, she was doing everything. Even when Yael took over, she was like, I can't believe how much she was doing. So she had control of everything, from players coming in, players coming out, talking to different things. And it was her decision to let Angel City talk to Freya. So she okayed it. And I don't know her reasons for okaying it, but it was on her. She is absolutely the one to blame for that.
So how about Scott now? Because you brought in, he was only with Chicago for a little bit. Thank goodness he is not associated with Rory Dames any more than the season and a half he was with Chicago, because he came from Utah and he came from other NWSL teams. Well, what do you think about Scott Parkinson as the coach of the Gothams now?
Yeah, just real quickly,
Oh.
when we got Scott Parkinson, I was panicking. I was like, I'm just waiting. He's coming from Chicago with the Rory Dames thing. And Elise LaHue came from Chicago too. And so I was like, okay, please do not be attached to any of this, please. But so far,
they kind of look the same. Rory and Scott look the same. And on the
Yeah.
sideline, they're both yelling at refs and stuff. So you're like, oh, I hope this isn't it. But at least from the outsider's perspective, he's doing everything right in the public side. Like how do the players and how do the fans kind of take in Scott?
Yeah, go ahead, Ruby.
So all we've seen pretty much on social media has been like good things about Scott.
Right.
So that's the first thing, because there's a lot of, also in other NWSL groups, there's a lot of people that have been following NWSL for a long time, and they kind of know how things are, or they know someone that knows something. But everything that has come out about Scott has been great. Everything has been good. I never heard like, oh, really, like him, or haven't heard anything like that. And I feel like the fans are also glad he's here, because you can tell he is a coach for the players, and he actually listens to the players. I got to meet him in that fantasy camp, and he looked like a great person to me. You can tell how someone is when you meet them. I kind of like first impressions and how he acts around people. Honestly, all I've seen and I've heard, it's good things about him, and I hope it stays that way.
Yes, I think the league needs it to stay. I think I don't want any coach controversies this year. No coach controversies this year ever. I hope we're done.
Yeah, when he first got signed, my immediate thing was to look for players' responses that had been critical of the league before. So when players like Kaya and players like that were all congratulating him and saying he's a good person, I was like, okay, maybe there is something here, because I was looking for those kind of confirmations, and he seemed to have got it. And everybody who's been around him seems to love him. You can tell he loves coaching, and he's just an enthusiastic person. So I think we hit a home run, and we were undefeated during the regular season with him. And hopefully with all these new tools and toys that he's got now, I think we're gonna have a good season.
Heck yeah, I'm rooting for Scott, and I'm rooting for Gotham this year. I think we can take the whole thing.
Oh,
all
dang.
Right. I like it. I like the
the
confidence. We'll definitely get some predictions here in a little bit, but
bring it real quick about the Scott thing too. I think hindsight, and you just mentioned a great thing, Gary. Look at people who have been critical of the league, critical of their teams. I think I'm going to start doing that. Like anytime something gets announced, I'm finding those players that don't shy away from what they're thinking. And even I kind of gave the league crap because they nominated Scott for coach of the year when he coached the team for 8 matches. But then I thought, well, why wasn't, Rory nominated? He took a team to blah, blah, blah. And looking back at hindsight, maybe those are situations where, okay, we don't want to maybe give spotlight to somebody because, the work done by the Washington Post and Molly, the work that she was doing in the articles, she had reached out to the league at some point. She had reached out to the league probably weeks before any of that stuff came out, probably before the playoffs even started. So maybe that's part of NWSL. Like, let's not give any certain coaches any attention right now because I don't know. There's a lot that we could tinfoil hat about, or I could tinfoil hat about. But it's Scott, from everything, again, he seems like a great guy, and you all seem to have lucked out in your coaching selection.
Yeah, I think one thing we've found out after we've only been following the league a little bit of time, but it's a really small community for the most part. And what I mean by that is everybody seems to know a little bit of something. So
even the supporters know stuff that don't seem to be public.
Yeah.
Everyone knows something,
So it's like when things like what's happened in Chicago or in Portland or in Washington, things like that. I think people know about things. There are whispers, there are rumors, there are these little things that people will hint at. So I think seeing that the reaction to Scott has been overwhelmingly positive from just about everybody. And some people are always going to be positive, but I think the overwhelmingly positive response that he's gotten, I think, says something. Because yeah, like kind of like you guys said, there would be little people. There might be people questioning it here or there. There might be people hinting at things here and there. Some people aren't always super forthcoming with what they know because they don't want to be the one spreading rumors.
But off the socials, they're saying stuff,
Right. Oh, absolutely. They just don't want it in writing. But yeah, I mean, it's such a small world, small community that yeah, I feel like those things travel really fast.
Yeah, they do.
Agreed.
I just want a little gossip though. I just want to know. Tell me all the rumors.
you got to find supporters groups with the slacks, because we see stuff in the 134 Slack that we just like. They say keep it in the Slack. We're like, all right, we're keeping it in the Slack. We're not saying anything. And we have big mouths, so that's nice to we actually keep that stuff to ourselves.
It's really hard. We we talk for way too long every week, so it's hard for us to keep that stuff.
But we have
that stuff quiet. Yeah, we do.
It's okay, guys. We have Jenna sources, so we're good. Don't worry.
Oh man, nah, just kidding. Jenna sources. Oh man, we need a Jenna.
So one final question here, kind of this part of the interview anyway. We've been asking this kind of as we've gone through our NWSL series so far. If let's say you're somebody that's coming into the league that's brand new, you're coming into the league, never watched the NWSL before. Let's say you're a fan of a team that has had a lot of issues that maybe you don't feel comfortable supporting that club anymore. For instance, the one in Chicago. Why should someone choose to support Gotham?
Culture. This is one of the best cultured teams in the league. We have the best leaders. We're talking classic players from Zerboni to Long to Didasco. These are strong women, strong leaders, and they stand for something. We have a core of the Black Women's Players Collective, which is an amazing organization. It's a welcoming, it's just an inclusive club. We just took another player on from Washington Spirit, I think. Yes, from Washington Spirit, who's openly trans, and that's totally cool with everybody here. We're a big family. We love everybody, and this is going to be a great team to root for because everybody on this team is amazing.
Yeah, we're very open and diverse, and that's another reason why Ashlyn Harris and Krieger moved to Gotham as well, and they have expressed that they wanted to have their daughter be around diversity, and that's why they moved up here. They came from Florida. As we know what's happening in Florida right now, the Don't Say Gay bill passed. So that's one thing, like we're very open here, and we have Cloud9. Can't forget Cloud9.
Yeah, who don't have good tailgates according to Robbie. They're not as good as Chicago's.
Yeah. But we have great tifos.
I'm just saying. Hey, the tifo was amazing, but that was out of Robbie's mouth. We're not throwing slander. We're repeating slander. Within your own ranks. You got traitors in your ranks.
I think after that came out on Twitter, I think Robbie was required to plan the next tailgate or something.
Oh yeah, he backed out. He was like, "Oh no. All right, Robbie, you need to step up."
Man, he's gonna be on the show next week. We're doing a Robbie birthday special. By we, I mean just Robbie, myself. Brian's gonna be incapacitated with family, but we're doing a birthday special for Robbie, and I'm gonna have to interrogate him on that because I thought he had to walk through with it, but he apparently turned away and walked right back out the door.
Yeah, I gotta hear more about this.
You have to convince him. He has to organize a tailgate for Gotham. Why not?
Yeah.
Should. I think he owes that to you guys at least.
Yeah.
Yes.
If not more than one. So we'll move on kind of to what we call the Ask Bam segment. This is just kind of a grab bag of all kind of random stuff, and we'll all answer this. Some of these are soccer related, some not. Just we have fun with it this week. The Frank Barber Memorial Ask Bam segment is brought to you apparently by Dexter's Laboratory.
Okay.
No.
So
He had a sister named Dee Dee, and you had a goalkeeper named Dee Dee. You
Okay.
had.
Oh.
There you go.
all right. So from our good buddy Soccer Noob asks, would it not be a cleaner look to just be Gotham FC? Drop the 2 geographic abbreviations.
Yikes! You're poking the bear there. Poking the bear. You know, like, so as a soccer fan and a Sky Blue fan, New Jersey means a lot to all of us. We are New Jersey people. It's in our blood, and there's that natural kind of New Jersey New York rivalry. And
Sure.
when the team decided to switch over to, New Jersey, New York, Gotham, it really leaned heavy on the New York aspect of it, and which kind of riled New Jersey fans a little bit. Because like, oh, they're forgetting about us. They're not thinking about their roots and stuff like that. But it's not about that. For the team, it is all about marketing. I sat in on a Zoom call with Elise LaHue, and she was talking about, the rebrand. And when she was talking about like sponsorships, she would mention people, oh, we're Sky Blue. Like, oh, what's Sky Blue? And they're like, oh, we're from New Jersey. And it was like, they're like, oh, okay, interesting. But she goes, oh, we're actually in the New York market. New York, you say? All right. Now they're listening. So she also said that they lost out on players because you're trying to convince somebody, if someone's coming from like, say, overseas to the United States to play soccer, you're going to convince them to move to New Jersey, or you're going to convince them to move to New York City. They're automatically going to go, oh, I can play in New York City. Let's do that. Right. No offense to New Jersey people. We all know where we are with this, but it was a brilliant marketing move, and it puts us on the map, and I'm okay with it. I know where we stand. I'm still New Jersey to the core, but I'm totally proud wearing that New York logo on there.
Do the players do the players live in New York? I know the teams have to provide housing to players if they don't get it themselves. Like, are they living in New Jersey, or are they living in New York?
They're living in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. They're living
Not
in New Jersey.
recruiting is technically lying if you're telling them to come to New York, because they're really living in Jersey. They're playing in Jersey. Harrison, now to be fair, Harrison's pretty close to New York, but still, that's like saying, like, I'm like on the border of like I'm in Cleveland and there's a lake there. I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada because Canada's on the other side of the lake.
Yeah.
I see your point, but at the same time, like, we're trying to grow this team. So are you going to pay like New York rent, or do you rather pay New Jersey rent? So I don't know.
Well, I mean, the Giants and the Jets, they've been in Jersey for years, and they're the New York Giants and the New York Jets. I mean,
yeah, it's a marketing thing. Everybody wants a piece of the New York market. Everybody does. Gets people's attention.
I think you should hold on to it. I think it should be the Hackensack FC and just play North Jersey and just own it. I think you just need to own it. It's the only city I know in North Jersey. I had a friend who lived there. That's the only land I know in North Jersey.
I just knew that city from the Billy Joel song. But
Moonachie also. Sorry, I also had a friend who lived in Moonachie. I lied, so forget it.
I have no idea where Moonachie is.
It's kind of by the state, actually, by the football stadium. It's kind of in that area, general area. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I came in. Cool. I came into this inclined to agree with Soccer Noob, but I think you've sold me on the brilliant marketing strategy that is New York, New Jersey, Gotham FC.
Yeah. Quick side note. So when they did the rebrand, all the Gotham or Cloud9 members that I'm a part of got an email, and it had like this list. I'm sure I can talk about it now, but whatever. They gave us a list of like 1,000 names, and they're all like mishmashed different names and stuff. And none of them really kind of jumped out at you. But when we sat down in that kind of Zoom call with Elise, and she explained her thinking of why she's choosing this name, why she chose Gotham, why she did all these things, you're like, oh, okay, that all makes sense from a marketing perspective. And as a sports management major myself, I was like glued to every word. She's, as for all her faults, which as we still know what they were, Elise was a brilliant GM.
No, and she brought the team, like you said, all the changes that came. Like, she was doing so much work. I know she left on mysterious circumstances, but everything up until that point, what Gotham is today, is kind of to her benefit, to her work.
Yeah.
Any chance there's a tie-in with Batman this year, like with the Batman coming out? Like,
I don't know.
I feel like that's a real missed opportunity. If not, like,
You want to associate with those Batman movies? I don't even know who Batman is anymore. They've had like 12 different Batmans in the last like 5 years.
Pattinson. It's
Right, Patton.
You always think of Twilight when you think of
right. I'm thinking of Batman when I think of Batman, I think of Michael Keaton, and maybe that's just because
you're old.
Doing this. Yeah.
No, I mean and you're gonna have Colin Farrell as the Penguin in a fat suit. Come on, you kidding me?
Is he still acting?
Well, he's gonna be in the Batman. So yeah, he's still acting.
Things are going well. Things are going well.
All right. Moving on.
Still gotta pay the bills.
Yeah,
that's true.
Man's got mouths to feed. Homer, good buddy Homer. This question is fitting for him. He asks, if you could be any kind of tree, what kind of tree would you be and why?
Why? Okay, I would be a pine tree. Why a pine tree? Because a pine tree can live in the cold and can live in warm weather as well. Plus, I love Christmas, so a pine tree, it's your Christmas tree. So I think I will be a pine tree because my favorite holiday is Christmas, and yeah.
And people are gonna chop you down, and they're gonna put
No,
balls all over you, and then toss you on the curb.
And then my cat is gonna try and climb like up up in your branches.
That was a really sad ending to my tree life.
I thought you were going to go really symbolic, like they're needles and it can protect itself. So I'm kind of strong and I'm also can withstand things. And being pine trees, like they smell good. Smelling good's a good trait of a human being, right? That's not a bad trait. Like that's not a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
All right, Gary, what tree would you be?
Oh gosh. A money tree.
A what?
A money tree.
A money tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Money grows on trees.
Yeah, there you
go. And then someone will chop you, and I'm just kidding.
Collect all the money.
Right?
So as the resident southerner of the group, I'm going to go with an oak. Like one of those really old, like big oak trees that, you see with like the Spanish moss growing from it. And
okay.
Lining the trees in the south. Like that, I mean, that's just what I grew up with. That's huge, like oak forest behind my house growing up. So that's just associated with home.
Yeah, one of those trees is like blocks developments because it's so old and beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those guys. Got a little fence around it. You can't go near it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would probably go with I want to pick an avocado tree. Because avocados are great. And I feel like I'm kind of like an avocado. There's only a really small window where I'm useful. And then the rest of the time is just useless.
I thought it was going to be because you said you were like basic, but
no, avocados are not basic. Avocados are a complex fat, and they're very good for you. And
they're the reason I can't buy a house.
Because you eat too much avocado toast. Darn millennials.
My wife eats avocado toast every morning. So yeah, that's why we rent, I guess.
You, Alyssa.
I'm telling you.
Isn't there like an avocado shortage or something? I think I heard that. I don't know.
I feel like that's been rumored for a while and it hasn't happened yet, but
they're just tricking you to buy more avocados,
right?
Like
that's from big avocado.
Big avocado is out there trying to get our money.
Well, the only time I ever see avocado commercials are every year there's one during the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
like I don't see an avocado commercial the rest of the year.
I know,
but avocados from Mexico.
Yeah, that little song is so
avocados
catchy.
from Mexico.
Yeah, I was gonna sing it too.
Oh boy, I'm hungry.
The aforementioned Robbie Rogers asks, which Gotham player would you pick as your cornhole partner and why?
If you're listening to this in the deep Midwest, Like Ohio's the Midwest. So we're on the edge of the Midwest. If you're like in Iowa, it's called bags. So if you don't know what cornhole is, it's also called bags for some of you folks who also call it soda out in the middle of the country. So cornhole is bags.
Go for it,
I would go with Ashlyn Harris. She's a keeper. She's good with her hands. She might have, good, put it in the hole. Ashlyn Harris.
That's surprising. I'm going with Ali Krieger. For what we talked about kind of earlier, I mentioned it a little quickly, but she is one of the most technical players that I've ever seen play. And I played with a lot of players like her, and she focuses on getting every touch right with the right pace, the right placement. And she's just so focused on the little technical abilities that I think that she would figure out the game really quickly, and she'd be just tossing them in. She'd break the game real quickly.
What about you guys?
You know
gonna go with after you, Brian. After you.
If I've got to be on target, I'm gonna pick a forward. Give me Mitch Purse. Like, okay. She's got to be on target, right? She's got to have good aim as a forward, as a striker. So yeah, give me Mitch. She can. I think she'll get a lot of points for me. And I'm terrible at cornhole. I'm absolutely horrible at it.
I don't have the trophy here, but I am my work department's cornhole tournament champion of 2018. No big deal. I'm not bragging or anything.
I was there. I can confirm.
It was cold AF that day, but we still won. Anyway, I'm not here to brag. Ali Krieger was my choice because we both went to Penn State, and I was like, hey, she's really good too, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to double up on someone's choice. So I'm going to pick Gina Lewandowski as my partner. And then I'm going to lose on purpose to spite Robbie. I'm going to throw the game.
Yeah.
Oops.
Sorry, Gene. Oh, they're supposed to get it on the board? I thought we were supposed to avoid the board.
I thought we were supposed to be on our board.
Oh.
You can't do it now because you just said you're the champion. So we know you're lying.
Well, a different partnership. So that partnership technically isn't the championship partnership, and it's semantics.
He's had shoulder surgery since
reconstructive shoulder surgery.
Yeah, shoulder injury. It's he's not the same as he was. Then again, arm. None of us are really the same as we were in 2018, right? Like we've all been through a lot the last few years. All right. Our good buddy Derek Helling with his usual obscure music choice for the week. It's Prince, but it's a Prince song I don't know. He asks, who's the funkiest man you've ever seen?
In person or just in general?
Either one.
It's based off the song Party Man by Prince. So yeah, I'm sure at some point he mentions a crazy gentleman or something like that. But yeah.
I think there's only one right answer here. I think it's James Brown. I think that's it.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Funky in what kind of way?
I mean, there you go.
There's a lot of funky people out there, but in different ways.
I saw.
Go ahead.
I was going to say in college, I went to a George Clinton concert. So he was in, obviously George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic. Like Funkadelic is in the name.
It's true.
Make my funk the P-Funk.
I was going to pick George Clinton too, but I don't want to copy another answer. So I'll go Bootsy Collins. That's the next one I can go. That's funky enough. And I do not know this Prince song. Although in the video, he's dressed up like Two-Face pretty much from the Batman movies, except for half of his face isn't like mangled like the Christian Bale Batmans.
Like a Two-Face Joker combination.
Yeah. If you have a chance, I would listen to it after you're listening to Brian Me.
Prince rules, so I'm sure it's awesome. But
that's true. Yeah. Do you have one, Ruby, or is this quite?
I don't have anyone. I wish I
Derek.
did.
I like that Ruby's thought didn't first go to music, but like the funkiest smelling, maybe like
I know, like funky looking, funky music. I don't know. I could have
Uh,
a lot of answers, and at the same time, like, what kind of funky? I don't want to offend anyone.
That's true. That's true. We want the funk.
Gotta have that
Gotta
fun.
have that funk.
But I think I don't know if you guys know him, but I think Bad Bunny is funky.
Okay.
Bad Bunny.
I know Bad Bunny.
Hmm.
I know it because I know him mostly because I'm a pro wrestling fan,
Mhm.
and
Oh yeah.
he's done some actual wrestling for the WWE. He was in the Royal Rumble this year.
I thought that was cool.
Oh, or Brass Monkey. That
That
chunky
funky
monkey.
monkey.
Brass Monkey, chunky, that funky monkey. Yeah.
And finally, we'll end with this one. Ben Stickney asks, if goats could fly, what color would you wear with black penny loafers on a Tuesday in Africa?
Is this a reference to something?
I don't
Or is he in
know.
that good stuff right now? I think he's.
I mean,
he's-
he's here in Charlotte, and it's not a. Yeah, I don't know what he's got, but he needs to be sharing. This for me is going
drug
to
free
be
is the way to be, kids. By the way.
yes, drug free, 100%. Hugs, not drugs. This for me is going to be the Lucille Bluth question of the week, meaning that I don't understand the question and won't be answering it.
He uses it every week, and he didn't use it the last couple of weeks though. But this question, I think Ben really he wanted this answer. I think.
So if goats could fly, what color would
What
you wear
color
with
would you wear with black penny loafers on a Tuesday in Africa?
I don't know. I feel like a lime green. I don't know.
Oh, okay, like an avocado green.
There you go.
Yeah,
Avocado green.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
I
Don't
might
ask
go with
me
like
why, but that's the only thing that's come up to my head.
I think like a white button-up shirt. Whenever you see any guy who looks like me in Africa, especially if they're wearing dress shoes, they're wearing some white button-up shirt and they're holding a hat and they're fanning themselves because they're probably really hot or something. That's what I would do. It would be like Dotson in Jurassic Park, the guy who's with what's his name at the bar, Newman.
Newman.
Dotson, we got Dotson here, or something like that.
See,
That's what I would
nobody
do.
cares.
See, nobody cares.
So here's the final question. This is the big one, most important question for both of you here. What is your and Ruby's already kind of hinted at this.
like,
what
what?
is your season prediction for Gotham?
We're taking it all.
Boom.
Whole damn thing.
I
The
love it.
whole thing. Yeah, I gotta be optimistic, you know. I feel like you have
Hell
to
yeah.
have to put it out there. And I think we probably would get the whole thing. Why? Because again, like Gary said, the culture of Gotham. Another thing is their mindset. Also, Ashley and Ali Krieger also were saying like we want a championship. So hey, if you want a championship, we welcome you. Come over because we also want a championship.
Okay.
All right. So playoffs are a minimum. They're a minimum.
Yeah.
And I think that should be the floor. If we don't make the playoffs, it's a disaster of a season. This team is way too talented, way too many veterans. They know what they're doing, and this team has played with each other. The playoffs are the floor minimum. However, I am still nervous that Purse and Mewis are going to be away with the national team a lot, and we might not have a replacement number 10 for Mewis. We're going to be in the same spot last season, sticking players in that spot, trying to make it fit and not making it fit. So that scares me the most about this team. I do think that if we have a full healthy Mewis, a full healthy Anamanu, full healthy Purse, I think the sky is the absolute limit for this team, and we can win. Will we get
Unintended?
there? Yeah. Yes. Unintended. Yes. I'm just short of saying we'll win everything. I think we're going to be the top 3 teams in the league.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, you're not going to miss any more time than you missed with the Olympics last year. Like the World Cup qualifying is not going to be nearly as bad as the Olympics were.
Yeah. Keeping them healthy has been an issue for those players. Purse was out a lot last season.
Yeah.
You know, Mewis had her injury issues. So if they're healthy, we can do it. If they start getting injured, then we got problems. And the biggest thing I have for this team, especially from last season, is to rotate players. We need players because last season, Ali Long played almost every game of last season, which is absurd for a 34-year-old or a 33-year-old player. Yeah. So we cannot have that. We need to rotate players. We need to get players healthy because down the stretch, Gotham faded. There's no other way to say that. Then we were in a spot to take. We had a chance at the Shield at one point, and we just completely faded because we were just burnt out. So I'm still skeptical of this team being the best team in the league. I'll go into the top three.
I think something else working in your favor with that regard is if you look around the league, like who really got better. Like KC got better. I think you can say KC is probably going from a bottom dweller to probably, to the top half of
They're
the
a playoff team.
Yeah. But like North Carolina here in, my home state, they lost a ton of, it was a fire sale. Orlando had a fire sale. Like a lot of, Portland has lost some players. Like a lot of teams have lost players, whereas Gotham kind of, I think, added, obviously losing a player of the caliber of Caitlin Sheridan, but I think otherwise, like they added in a lot of key places. So I think they didn't stand pat, whereas a lot of other teams got worse. I mean, logic tells you they were a playoff team last year. They most likely should be at least a playoff team this year, if not toward the top half.
I think Mew should be more motivated here than in Houston. Honestly, like Houston, no offense, like wasn't the best situation down there.
No.
That's the one team I forget about. Every time we have to list out, and every time I think about NWSL teams, Houston's usually the last team I mention because I always forget Houston exists. And they won the Challenge Cup, which was their like the one thing they've done in the leagues in their history in the league. It's just I always forget about Houston. I feel bad for like Rachel Daly and Nichelle Prince. I feel bad for them down there. That's I don't know.
The podcast, actually, The Dash is really good podcast. So you should definitely look them up. And Haley Schneider is a really good guest. So you should, if you're going to preview or talk to anybody from there, she's the one to talk to.
Well, I should leave this part out of the podcast. That I should edit out everything I just said about Houston. No, that's just my own. That's just my own lack of knowledge. Because I do have a question. You talk about the depth, and you need a depth. We'll leave with this. I know this is a specific question. Probably should have asked earlier. Brianna Pinto. What do you think happened there? Because you brought in somebody who, all intents and purposes, looks like somebody that you can build around in the future. What happened?
We started the hashtag Free Pinto campaign pretty early in the season.
Yep.
Was it because of all the front office changes? Was it because of that stuff that maybe she got lost in the shuffle, changing of coaches? Did she not have motivation? Like what do you know happened? Because I think that's a steal for the Courage. That's a steal.
Yeah. We're still trying to figure that one out.
Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, so the Pintos as a family unit are very supportive of each other, and they will make their feelings known to you right away. So we were being followed on social media by the Pinto family. And so we like Brianna. She was our first player guest on the podcast, and nice. she spent way too much time with us, and she was awesome. And she's a good player. And every time we saw her on the field, she was making stuff happen, and she was hustling. And she's every bit the 21 under 21 player that she looks like, as far as the eye test goes. So I have no idea why not one coach, but two coaches didn't play her. They used the excuse of, well, there was too many veterans in front of her. But they gave minutes to Delaney Sheehan, who's okay, who's good, she's a fine player. They gave minutes to Evelyn Viens, who was another fine player. But I still no idea why, they did not. And honestly, I'm happy that she's in North Carolina because I think she can play, and I think she's going to get a chance there, as there's nobody in front of her at this point, so she's going to play.
And you're playing that by Dabinia. That's not a bad teammate to have on the field with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were singing her praises all last season, and it was we got a really nice note from one of the Pinto families saying that they thanked us for supporting her all season, even though she was not happy there. Oh. So,
wow,
there's that.
That's awesome. So maybe this season is the one that'll tell us a little bit more, because if she plays more, then maybe it was a potential coaching decision issue, not a coach issue, but a decision making issue, and or maybe it just didn't fit in the team. Like I said earlier, it's a team sport, right? It's a team sport, and if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Ruby, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No relation, right?
I was laughing. Well, no relation, but I kind of, she's like my official, unofficial cousin out there. But yeah, we don't know what happened there, but I am rooting for her. I'm not rooting for North Carolina, but I'm rooting for Brianna Pinto. I really want her to shine in North Carolina and do great things because she deserves it. And I told Scott, I was like, hey Scott, if you're looking to replace the Pinto, I'm here, but I haven't gotten a call yet. So
keep watching those videos of you, Meg and Robbie, and you're gonna get on the team soon enough. You're gonna get on the team.
My
soon
highlights.
Yeah, right. Well, our own Savannah McCaskill, we haven't had her on the show, but she's one player. I'm just like, I'm rooting for you. Quit. Like some team needs to grasp your skill and keep you because she keeps getting moved around. Hopefully, Pinto, this is a one stop. Maybe she's done here in North Carolina and she can shine. But speaking of shining, this has been great. Honestly, having the two of you on our show, it's heightened our knowledge about Gotham a ton, and it's brought a shred of professionalism to our show. We really appreciate, honestly, joking aside, Ruben Gare, having you on here was just great. We can't wait to listen to your show as the season starts.
Yeah, Ruby's a star. I'm just setting her up and getting her going. So
Ruby's shaking her. You can't see Ruby shaking her head. No,
don't say that. Don't say that.
you play off each other well. It's a great team. It's a great team.
She's the Hobbs to my Calvin.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
you said that about me, Thomas.
I don't know. I was trying to think. Do I even have a comparison that we do for each other? You're the M to my M.
I like it.
Okay.
The peanut butter to
we
my
can
jelly.
go with that one.
The lamb to my tuna fish. Well, thank you both for being on the show.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, so maybe throughout the season, instead of having Robbie on every time Gotham plays the athletes who play in Chicago, maybe we can have you folks on again at some point.
Absolutely.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Invite us over.
Yeah.
Why not? We're good house guests.
Yeah. Indeed. Right. We will see you guys in the regular season. So
good luck.
Who's your group?
Who's our group?
Yeah, Challenge Cup.
Oh, the group. We have Kansas City.
That's right.
Houston, Louisville, and gosh, who else? No, that'll be 4, right?
Yeah.
3, that's it then. Yeah, because you folks have North Carolina, Orlando, Gotham, and Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's our group. Houston, KC. I think we I think the athletes from Chicago could have a good showing. Could have a good showing in the Challenge Cup. But I think KC, I know it was just a friendly, but they just thrashed the Spirit 5-0 the other day. Now then it was a friendly and you don't have all the players, and you don't have your Rodmans back with the team, and she hasn't done preseason with the Spirit, blah blah. But I think KC is going to be very fun to watch. And I agree. I think Gotham too will be. I think they'll be up there in the conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. All right.
Well, thanks everybody.
Have a good night.
Right.
Wow. What a fantastic conversation that was, man.
Loved it. That was great. I said before the show, at the beginning of the show, I'm much smarter for having them on, and I feel like I have a much better grasp of Gotham. Not to the point where I'll be a Robbie Rogers Gotham stan, but I do appreciate the team a little bit more. Whenever we asked Gary to recommend this team to other people, his answer was just like, boom, here, drop mic.
Yeah. I mean, I could never do it because of Robbie.
No. Oh God, no. I never support Gotham.
But
maybe you could. You as in the listener.
Yes, you as in the listener. If that's your thing, if you want to support a place with, pizza, I guess, and things like that,
cardboard,
go Go
paper.
for it. But
Yeah.
no, we really appreciate Gary and Ruby coming on the show.
Mhm.
It was a lot of fun. They're really smart folks, really fun to talk to. So yeah, definitely go and give their pod a listen. Speaking of pods that you listen to, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to our pod this week and every week. If this is your first time listening to Bryant and me, if you've come over because of Ruby and Gary, we appreciate it. Thanks for listening. You can interact with us on social media. We're at Bryant and me on both Twitter and Instagram. We do most of our interaction on Instagram, but we like to post or most of our interaction on Twitter, excuse me. But we like to have a little fun on the gram now and then.
Yeah.
So definitely do that. We also have Thomas on Twitter and Instagram. He's at one Thomas Costello. Give him a follow. You can follow him for fantastic Columbus Crew coverage for Massive Report. He is writing for Land Grant Holy Land, covering the Big Ten champion,
Big Ten champion,
Ohio State women's basketball team. So you'll be covering them through the regular season champs, right? The Big Ten
regular
tournament
season
coming up.
champs. I have to tell you something crazy. I'm going to the Big Ten tournament this weekend just for the Ohio State game. So I'm going to drive out to Indy.
Oh, cool.
3 hours due west from here. But I
Sure.
tweeted out something after they won last night, and I did I had articles and everything. Like my Saturday covering the Crew, I woke up at like 7:30 because I had other stuff I had to do. Had to go to the grocery store, run around, take my kids to my sister's, and I was at the match till probably like 3:30 till around 6:00, 6:30. Went to pick up my kids. I went home and I was writing until like midnight. I was just writing article after article. And then Sunday we went up to talk about going to see the Chelsea match and stuff. We go to my in-laws just because Ohio State's playing. I'm like, I need to cover this game. And then I wrote the recap. And then after the recap, I directly jumped into, I'm going to write an article just in case they win, because they needed the Michigan Wolverines, who were like 10th, 9th ranked in the nation, to lose to Iowa, who was ranked 21st. And I was like, I'm going to write this article beforehand just in case they win. And then like I'm driving home. We stopped to get gas or coffee or something. And I check and it just kind of blew up. So I tweeted after they won, hey, the first year I covered the Crew, the Crew won MLS Cup. And the first year I covered Ohio State women's basketball, they won the Big Ten title. So if anybody wants to offer me a job covering their team, send me your offers, like some joke tweet like that or something. I get actually someone replying. I get some jokes. A couple of people said Tottenham, and I was like, God, no. I might not like myself, but I don't hate myself.
Oh, you don't?
No. Well, jury's out. Bengals, other stuff. But then somebody from the Columbus Sports Commission, which is an actual organization, actual company, somebody who actually works there, he's like, I'm interested in you writing for this site. DM me. So now I'm putting in my name to be hired to potentially write stories for the Greater Columbus Sports Commission, which kind of helps promote sports and everything in the city of Columbus on all levels. They do stuff with the Crew, the Clippers, the Blue Jackets, Buckeyes. Like they cover all this stuff. So I joke tweet this out, and now I potentially have a way to get hired to write some stuff. Probably freelance, but a Texas is what I can get. This is so
what you're saying is that the Blue Jackets are gonna win the Stanley Cup as soon as you start writing about them.
There are stipulations. I have to think I actually like cover the team. I have to cover them, actually, like follow their games and all that, which Blue Jackets I do not. But
I think they're in like next to last place. So yeah,
not great. But no, I covered Ohio State.
It would take a miracle.
Like 2 weeks before their season started, I got my credential, and I've been covering them all season. The Crew, that 2020, I joined before the season started, covered them all season. So I'm the championship whisperer. Just don't look at the next year that happened after that 2020 year.
You are 100% the championship team winner, whisperer. So yes, everyone should be hiring Thomas to write.
Feed my kids.
Feed them children. He's got about 50 million of them.
I lost count. I think, yeah, 50 million in one. Yeah,
50 million. Oh, and one.
Yeah,
it's gone up. It's gone up since the last time I heard. Ooh, hot sauce.
Hey now,
baby
busy
Shaq.
over here.
Like And one mixtapes.
I do.
From back in the day.
I do. I was gonna say I went to the free throw line and one, but that was you're going the other. You're going the street. Skip to my Lou type
Skip to
and
my
one.
Lou, yeah.
Yeah.
Skip to my Lou had a cup of tea and had a cup of coffee in the league.
Yeah, some of the kind of like the he hate me of the NBA, right?
Oh man, I forgot about Rod Smart. He hate me.
Oh gosh.
Good stuff. So yeah, be on the lookout for everything Thomas is doing. You can follow me on Instagram if you want. I don't really post much, but I'm at
you
Pickle
post great
Chip.
stuff. Quality over quantity.
Okay, we'll go with that. I'm at Pickle Chip. Replace the I's with ones. Please like, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your fine and not so fine podcasts.
Yeah.
Leave us a 5-star review. You can tell us we suck, but leave us a 5-star review. We always certainly appreciate that. Please make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you make sure you take care of your mental health, especially with so many things going on in the world right now. A lot of things can look really bleak. So just, take time, make sure you're taking care of yourself. If you need to, certainly take the time to speak with someone. I can't stress how much that helps. Obviously, we stand in solidarity with the people of Ukraine. And with the Major League, to a lesser extent, we stand with the Major League Baseball Players Union, not the owners. Don't be a bootlicker. And we hope you all have a wonderful and fantastic week because you're great people.
You deserve that. You deserve great things. We love you. Adios.
Every single one. Bye.